YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We're gonna do a double flight today, which is amazing and unusual for us. Obviously, from sub 250 all the way up to not sub 250, we love it all. The Conscendo Evo all the way up to the Carbon Z T28, which is one of my favorites and also one of our biggest planes. We just love flying RC. It's been a great year. In 2023, this is actually 2024 now, so Happy New Year's. Thanks for bearing with Brian, Phillips RC, and Megan. We've been feeling a little under the weather, as you can tell from my voice, but we just said, I gotta fly first of all, because it's been a few days since I flew and it's kind of killing me. And I just wanted to encourage you guys, if you've got some RC dollars that you want to spend, that your wife gave you special approval for, or maybe grandma sent you a little bit of money for Christmas, or whatever it happens to be. You had something that you returned, that ugly sweater that you hated anyway, or the socks and underwear you didn't need. This looks so much better. But just look at the difference in size, guys. You can fly this little thing. It's shorter than the wing. The Conscendo Evo is an amazing experience, and it's cheaper or close to cheaper than the battery inside of this plane. But the thing is, they both have unique and amazing qualities. And so I just want to show you those in a side-by-side comparison, or at least as close as we can get, because this should fly for about 8-10 minutes, something like that. And then this thing will fly for about 8-10 minutes as well, if not a little longer, on a much smaller battery. But it's just part of the joy of the hobby is being able to see that it's not always about dollars or size. It's about where you are right now and what resources you have at your disposal, whether that be flying out in the front yard fully legally with something like this that's sub 250, requires no remote ID, requires essentially no effort on your part to be compliant, so long as you're not doing it professionally. Or something like this that might require you to fly at a club or with a remote ID module or whatever if you want to be fully legal. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's still an amazing RC experience waiting for you right here and right now. All you have to do is follow the links in the video description below. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get taken off. I got to lay this down though. Okay, so one of my favorite features of the T28 in the Carbon Z size is obviously having thrust reverse, which is so nice to be able to point that plane wherever you want and then immediately get yourself out to where you want to be and take off effortlessly. 6S, 5,000, gear up, out of the flaps, hard on the throttle. What an amazing experience. Going up and over the sun. And then down and under. You good? Mm-hmm. Big old stall turn here. Look at that thing pivot. It's so cool. Okay, camera crew, down here with me. You can fly it in such tight areas. It's just incredible to me for being such a big bird. And can you argue with the beauty of that thing? There is a reason it's one of my favorites and always will be. Right over the future runway. So guys, if you're not flying because it's cold out, there's no excuse. Full landing flaps coming out. Watch this thing. One of the reasons I love flying so much is just because it's not real, and yet it is real. And I know many of you guys have real worries and real everyday challenges, and you just want to get out there and dream and enjoy stuff like this in your spare time. And for most of you, that's all it is. And then it ends at that. But for some of us, it becomes a complete lifestyle invasion. Gear coming out for a dirty pass. Oh, so sweet. Look at that slow deployment. Okay, out of the gear, out of the flaps, hard on the throttle. Right over the cherry that should have been moved last week, but we got rained out. And we'll go up and around. And I don't know if I said it, but it's a 50-seat pack. We're gonna do an inside pass this time, camera crew. You good? Mm-hmm. Take off flaps, landing flaps. Getting pushed with the wind. Pushed off course a little bit, but that's okay. In over where the pond would be. Inside pass, good. Mm-hmm. Take off flaps. Gear, dirty. So sweet, guys. Out of the flaps, out of the gear. Hard on the throttle. 3-bladed prop is an upgrade we did. We also put some soft tires on this one. So that's what we're gonna show you next. The soft tires are like 20 bucks and you're probably thinking, what a rip me off. But at the same time, they're only a few bucks more than replacement wheels. They come with wheels and tires, of course. Okay, so let's try for a little landing here. Bring it up here, gear coming out, take off flaps deployed. We're going into the wind now. Full landing flaps now. Right over the tree line, watch for the shadow. There's the shadow. There's a cat coming up the hill. And that's why I like reverse thrust, guys, because who needs a 300-foot runway? There's a cat. There's always a cat that pops up when I'm trying to land. Yep. Guys, got 3 minutes and 48 seconds left. Look at that beautiful smooth landing. Hardly any effort. Takeoff flaps deployed. Here we go. Getting into the power hard, and look at that thing. 3-bladed prop actually takes a little bit of the performance out, just so you know. And if you guys haven't ever experienced the Carbon Z lineup, it's one of the most immersive experiences you can have, and it's out of the box, ready to go. Okay, we're gonna try for another landing here. About 30% throttle, looking for that low hole, watching for the shadow. That gives me confirmation of my clearance, ground clearance. Look at that, look at those soft tires, guys. Out of the gear, out of the UPS stick, right over the top. Cleared with no problems, and we got lots of gusty. Did you see that when it picked me up on my main, but not my nose gear? That was so cool.
The wind has shifted directions.
Shifty mother.
It is.
Nature. So we'll try again. Watch this, guys. It's a nice slip. A little bit of throttle to keep that prop tractoring. Look at this, guys, look at this slip. A little bounce and go for you. Keep those wings flat. Lots of rudder. Up and over. Full landing flaps in gear. Oh, I was thinking I could probably pull it off, but then just a little bit too speedy. So guys, if you haven't figured out, I love the Carbon Z. It's one of my favorites. Whichever one it is, nice slip on the way down. And that's the crazy part, is this plane will just do whatever you tell it to, no matter how ridiculous it is. And that's why I love flying it. And then here in a minute, we'll be flying the Conscendo Evo UMX outside pass. And we'll show you just how intense and different the experience is. And like I said, no matter your budget, there is something to fit the opening you have in your life. Okay, over the tree line. We're gonna take a different line this time.
Time remaining 1 minute.
1 minute. Watch this, guys. Watch the sink. Watch the sink. Watch the sink. A little bit of flare and reverse thrust. Stop it right where we want it. And there it is, guys. This is not a hard plane to fly. I'm not an amazing pilot. And the thing is, I can say I love flying this plane. Speaking of, let's do some more. So if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you're like, I want to do that, Brian, so bad, I want to just skip all the middle steps and just get right to where you are, the Carbon Z Cub is not probably a beginner plane, but it's definitely not going to be like your 17th or 18th plane. You could fly this thing right away if you had the right environment, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can get a 1.1 meter and you can have an amazing experience that's going to get you where you need to go without blowing $600 or $700 on an expensive crash. Okay, so there's our timer elapsed. What you may not be aware of is we have telemetry. Camera crew, about 4 steps to the center of the runway, please. Thank you, perfect. Okay, landing gear coming out. Bring it over, a little bit of a slip. You guys see I'm pointing the nose contrary to my turn, so it's like a reverse coordination for that slip. See, I'm pointing the nose up with the rudder. That's gonna use up energy. Full reverse thrust, and there it is, guys. Stopping right at our feet, guys. It's not that hard. I'm not that great of a pilot, and it just makes it look easy because the thing flies phenomenal, okay? 38 seconds over our timer. Let's check our voltages real quick. I'm gonna try to do this so you guys can see.
Yep, I can see.
Look at that, guys. Plenty of power left. I think we should do at least one more circuit because we haven't heard critically low and we're not gonna probably hear it today. So take off flaps. Generally what we wanna do is with a plane like this, you have to basically be a little bit careful when you reverse thrust because it likes to lift off of the nose gear. So don't get too aggressive with it. And those soft tires, I cannot push them enough. They are huge, okay? They make for a great experience forward thrust now. No flaps, we're gonna do a no flap takeoff. Getting into the 50% throttle, 50% throttle, guys. There you go, guys. No flaps. Just to show you it's got plenty of power, and this is on 3-bladed prop with the wind now. Gotta be careful we don't get into a stall. About 70% throttle here. And just bringing it around the way that you would expect a T-28 to look. We're gonna go under the sun and then through the trees, about 14 steps toward the runway, please, right now. More. Thank you. Good, you're good there. Up and over the new trees and down. And inside out. And then we're gonna see if we can get it into final and put it down right now. You good? Mm-hmm. Watch for the shadow. We're over the trees. A little bit of throttle, a little bit of throttle, a little bit of throttle. We gotta get there. Get to the carrier, Brian. Oh, we missed the carrier. Everybody died. A little bit of rudder to keep that nose pointed downhill. Crispy. There's our critically low. I guess we did hit it. A little bit of slip at the top of the arc. Now watch this, guys. I don't like my altitude, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go around. But only around like that, guys. Full landing flaps, I lost about 1 altitude worth in that. Got my throttle, I got a little bit of power. 5000 6S is not gonna let me down. Don't miss the carrier, Brian. There you go, full throttle, reverse thrust. There it is, guys. How do you complain about such an amazing landing experience? If you don't love shooting takeoffs and landings, you don't love flying. The T28 is just amazing. It's so much fun. If you've never experienced it, you gotta check it out now.
Well, I just had a question.
Yes.
You were saying it's not a beginner plane.
It's not a beginner plane.
If you're returning...
But if you want this, if you're a returning pilot, no problem at all.
Okay.
Okay, because we serve an audience here on YouTube that's usually returning pilots that are just like, what the heck is DSMX and all these things? I got crystals.
20 years, yeah.
That's right. We're here to help you. That's what we do. And normally I do it without a cough, so I sound a little bit better. But the thing is, this plane has tons of tech involved. It's got auto leveling, it's got stabilization, and I don't run with auto leveling, but I could with a flip of a switch. I can also turn off all the aids, or I can fly with AS3X, which is stabilization. That helps when that wind shifts and the plane gets oscillated in the wind and kicked off of course. It helps me to keep going in a straight line. That's all the stabilizer does. We'll help teach you all that stuff as you get back up to speed. But that's why I love the T28. But if you can't get a 2 meter because you can't fit it in your house or your truck or your car or your RV or whatever it is you use to bring it back and forth, what you can do is you can get the 1.2 meter and you have all the same features in the 1.2 meter with the exception of the size, okay? So it's gonna look just as good. It's gonna fly and perform even better in terms of speed performance, but it's just an amazing experience with thrust reverse and all. And if you wanna go even cheaper and you don't mind not having retracts, you go to a 1.1 meter, same E-flite branding, but beautiful, easy to fly, super resilient, very cheap to battery up, and you can have that experience right away in a bind and fly, which means you basically open the box, you assemble a couple of screws, put the wings and things together. It's not hard. We show exactly how to do it in our unbox build radio setup, which is always our beginning video in a series about a particular plane. This, of course, is a revisit for us on the T28, one of my absolute favorite all-time planes, okay? Now, without further ado, we're gonna taxi this back. If you guys wanna help support us, just follow the link in the video description below. Make sure you pay special attention to the size because this plane is equipped. This is a 2 meter size class, but you can get this, like I said, in 1.2 meter, which is roughly half the size. And you can also get it in a 1.1 meter size, which reduces a lot of the features, but it's very easy to fly. It's very cheap to battery. And the thing is, it's just nothing but pure delight. And if you overshoot, you got thrust reverse, which is super fun and also helps with those ultra short field touchdowns. Also, I just want to talk about this too. If you are going to be landing on a grass strip, you have no problems with this plane. We fly off of a paved strip. It's about 275 feet long, but you can see from here to here is about what we were using. That's about 60, 70 feet. This approach is 37 feet plus the gap for the turnaround, 15 feet of straightaway plus the sweep, gives you about 60 feet, okay? This thing is taking off and landing in less than a basketball court. Not an exaggeration, okay? Just to give you an idea. Now let's talk about the battery real quick before we jump into the Conscendo Evo. So we pop this latch here, and this is one of the easier to battery planes, meaning it's easy to get in, it's easy to get out, and look at how much room there is in here. You could move the kids in if they need a spare bedroom. It's so huge. You could definitely run parallel 6S batteries, and our CG is right here with a 5000. That means that if you're running a huge pack, you should be able to run it just about wherever. And we'll show you exactly how to do that. This is a Gen 2 50C 5000 6S, okay? So what that means for you is that you can run just a ton of different batteries through this plane, meaning you could run twin 5000s and run for like 20 something minutes, no exaggeration. You could run a 7000 Gen 2. You could probably run it for 15 to 17 minutes easily, okay? And if you're not doing crazy tricks and stuff, you can fly even longer. And just keep in mind, guys, if you don't use thrust reverse on landing, you save a ton of power. So if you have a huge expansive runway, you don't necessarily need that. But I love it. I love being able to bring it right to me and stop. I love it. All right, so without further ado, we'll just leave this battery here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna switch our radio system. If you're brand new to the hobby or you're just coming back, you probably don't realize this, but I can cancel and go back. And I can go down to my model menu. Okay. Whoops, sorry, main menu. So cancel and back, then I can scroll until I find my model. And you'll see all these hundreds of models. Okay, that's basically the way it is now. You don't have to have 400 transmitters. So even though this thing is still relatively expensive, as it should be, it's one of the most critical parts of your RC experience when it comes to air communication. But you can fly that plane or this plane or a number of different planes if you already know that. That's one of the reasons why we love the NX and Airware, which is the software that we run on here. It makes it easy. We have used competitive brands. We've always been dissatisfied with how easy it is to use them. There are people that have spent a lot of time learning how to do it, and I commend you for your patience because I find that I'm a pretty patient person when it comes to technology and machinery because that's what I do for a living. But I can't tolerate that stuff. I'm not gonna learn an entire system for one plane. I wanna learn a system that I can apply to hundreds of planes. because then it's worth my brain power and it's worth my time, okay? If you're anything like me, that's what you're gonna feel like too. Okay, so now the battery in this plane, 300 milliamp hour. I've got a little strap with some Velcro on it, but that's a 3S 300 that we're gonna fly in here. It's got a JST connection for the discharge lead, and it's got a Hextronics balance lead. So it charges on a conventional charger or a smart charger, but you do have to have an adapter. But just to give you an idea of the difference in size, look at this, guys. That's 300 milliamps, 3 cells. This is 5,000 milliamps, 6 cells. Look at the difference in size, guys. Isn't that just incredible, the difference? And just wait till you see the performance of this little booger. It is incredible. We're gonna pause while we plug in the battery. Okay, so we've got the Conscendo Evo, one of the newest from E-flite. There's been a few that have released that run on 3S and 2S, of course. Now, as you can see, it's plugged in right now. We've already done a review on this plane, but it's just to show you the difference in experience. It's not always about size or price. Sometimes it's just about where you're flying, when you're flying. Think about it like this. If you're in the Midwest like I am, the winter solstice just passed by, thank God, which means our days are getting longer. Every day they're getting a little bit longer. But when I get home at 5 o'clock and it's already dark, to a guy like me, man, it hurts my soul because I love flying, okay? And we spent more than a small fortune to be able to fly where we fly. And so you guys understand what I'm talking about here. I wanna fly when I get off work, okay? So if you're anything like me, you wanna just do it, right? And you need to build the opportunity to fly. So you're not gonna be able to fly that Carbon Z, it just won't make sense. Maybe you don't have time to load it, you don't have time to get it down to the flight field unless you can drag it with you to work. So in my case, I gotta come back here. I'm in the country, we've got lots of room. We're building a pond back there. If you guys follow YouTube or Brian Phillips RC here on YouTube, then you'll see more about that as we go. But without further ado, I got a 5-minute timer set. There is telemetry on this, so I can see what the voltage is, which is so cool. So as you can see, there we go. It shows our battery voltage, throttle cuts off, and here goes nothing. Okay, look at this. I think the ups are more aggressive on this than the Conscendo, or excuse me, than the Carbon Z. Over here, please. Right in the middle. Perfect, thank you. So guys, if you're brand new to the hobby and you're just like, hey, how do I re-enter this thing? You don't have to start with the T28, but you can. By the way, out of throttle now, as you can see. And on 3S, this thing screams. Eventually, they're gonna have the bugs worked out. You'll be able to use 2S, but in ours, we got an early sample. And so even though it's supposed to work on 2S, they had an issue with some software, and I don't really care because I'm not gonna fly it on 2S anyway. Some of you guys might be. And I'm just gonna say, look at how much fun it is to fly this little thing. And this can get you your fix. Sorry about the blue sky, camera crew. Going up and over, we're gonna go down in the bowl. You good? Mm-hmm. Okay, go to the right, please. Perfect. So this is what we call the bowl here, if you guys aren't already aware. This is the vampire killing zone right behind me. Just soaring, we'll go right overhead this time. Okay, down into the bowl, camera crew, toward the edge. This is where the pond is going, guys, right here. So that's on hold right now because the weather weathered us out, which is really annoying. I love the scream. And yes, there is a hawk screaming in the background in case you guys hear that. So if you guys are looking for something that can get your whistle wet, but you don't want to dump a bunch of money into it, this would be a great way to do it. But just keep in mind, this comes as a bind and fly, which means you're going to have some sort of a transmitter. Recently, they released the NX7E. I'm gonna just tell you this, if you guys are getting ready to get serious about getting into some planes, just don't waste your time. Just get the 10. The NX10 is what you want. You're gonna get a lot further and you're not gonna be chasing good money after bad, but if you really don't know, get the 7, it'll run this plane just fine. The 7E is white and black, looks like a cow. We have reviewed it. And if you want something that's gonna get the job done, that'll definitely get the job done. But I'm gonna tell you this, as you get further and further into your RC experience, you're gonna want more channels. And the more channels are gonna allow you to fly different planes with more features, different features. And you're gonna want to be able to take full advantage of all the new offerings that are coming out. I can tell you this, I have an 18 channel transmitter. I never used more than 10, not even once. I know it seems ridiculous, but that's the truth. And I have done hundreds of planes. That's not to say that there aren't people that are using the NX20 to its full potential, or the IX14, or the NX20. Did I say IX20?
Yeah.
Because you could use an IX20, you got 20 channels, discrete channels, but you don't need that to get the job done for most people, especially if you're doing bind and fly planes like what we do on this channel a lot. If you're doing plug and fly planes and you're getting really aggressive about changing setups, then you might actually really like to be able to separate out all the channels. But I'm just gonna tell you this, in my experience, unless you're flying extremely high dollar sailplanes that have 20 servos, you don't need to have 20 channels for your average experience. And by the way, if you guys can't tell, that thing is cruising. And yes, you do keep hearing a critically low alarm. That is the nature of cold sometimes with these lipos. They like to give you kind of false positives. And that's something you will learn to live with and ignore, or change your settings. There is a setting in your telemetry under audio events. I just evidently am too lazy to fix it. And by the way, can you even imagine 10 years ago even, we couldn't get near the performance that we're seeing from this thing. And it's right there on the shelf, ready to go. Or even better yet, you don't even have to go to a shelf. You just open the video description here and you buy it. I'm gonna go play with the sock. See that, guys? That was really close. There's our low voltage warning. So we have definitely got pulsing. Now you guys listen carefully, you might hear it. You guys hear it? And so what that does is it allows you to know that you've got low voltage, but it doesn't kill your power. So the fail-safe doesn't cut you down to nothing. Now, if you're me, you'll just keep flying. If you're you guys hear it? I know that this plane will fly on 2S no problem. So if I have one cell that sags, we'll still be okay to get it right back to us. Do you suppose I can catch it?
Probably.
Look how slow that is, guys. Every time I try to catch a plane, I break it. You know this, right? Well, let's see if I can get it. If I don't feel it, I'm just gonna land it on the grass. Let's see if I can do it. That was easy. I didn't even deploy flap runs. Oh, and by the way, flaps. I totally forgot about the flaps. We'll show you exactly how to set that up in our unboxed build and radio setup. And just to give you an idea, look at the amazing experience we have. 2 totally different flight envelopes, 2 totally different types of planes, 2 totally different price points. One amazing RC experience, guys. If you haven't flown the Conscendo Evo UMX, you gotta get one today. They're in stock. We try not to bait you guys with stuff that can't be bought when we release this footage, but we do wanna remind you that since we leave our videos up all the time, they may have fallen back out of stock. And if that happens, we promise we try our very best to avoid that happening, because at the end of the day, we love this hobby. We know what's available. We try our very best to put things that are in front of you that you can go ahead and buy if you like the planes you see. And that is the #1 way you can support Brian Phillips RC, with a pat on the back. Obviously, smash the like button. That's always super easy. But if you want to subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and you'll get notified when new content comes out, which is very frequent from Brian Phillips RC. We try to release at least 2 times a week, sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. It depends on the week. But during the winter and when we're sick, it does make it hard because I got to talk the whole time. So at the end of the day, we love that you guys have been there for us for all these years. You have been an amazing audience, and we just love that you guys love this hobby experience with us. And we want to be there to help bring you the absolute best that we can deliver. And that includes occasionally just doing what I love, and not necessarily some new release or something that some company wants us to show you. We do love this hobby, and we know you do too, or you wouldn't be watching videos like this. So from the bottom of our hearts, we want to thank you for another great year on Brian Phillips RC. We're going to be around for the duration, so long as the wife doesn't leave me or murder me and put me in the backyard underneath the dam, which you could very well do.
There's a lot of dirt back there.
That's right. So just keep an eye out for that, people. Hold her accountable. And I gotta say, we have been super happy to be working with a great group of different manufacturers, hobby outlets, hobby shops, just websites. Different companies that we've worked with over the years while we've done this have really helped to make this possible, because there's no way that I could afford to do all the stuff I want to do on my own without help, and being surrounded by a group of really great companies that have poured a lot into us as we've done it. And so guys, don't think we don't understand that that really happens, and we do acknowledge it. We want to just thank they're not sponsors so much, but just people that we work with, that we're affiliated with, like Horizon and E-flite and Spectrum and different companies like that. We really appreciate what they're doing for the hobby. There are so many easier ways to make a buck in today's economy, okay? Making airplanes is hard, technically challenging, expensive, complicated, labor intensive, regulated. There are so many different things that you could do that would be easier, cheaper, higher profit. But because there are people that have deep pockets that love this just like you and I, let's give them a pat on the back. When you do have budget and you want something like this, sure, you could print out on a laser printer. You could print some T28. You could spend months building it, unless you're Mike, and then you'd build it in like 3 days.
Yep.
And it would look better than this, which is crazy. And you could do that. But the truth is, somebody still has to make the motor. Somebody still has to make the servos. Somebody still has to make the radio. Somebody still has to make the transmitter receiver. All these different things that go into a finished product. And we're getting them out of the box almost ready to go. It is amazing to be living in this RC moment. So just remember, the beer truck could be coming for you tomorrow. So live like you aren't guaranteed tomorrow, because you're not. And at the end of the day, we love doing this, and we really appreciate you being there to support us in all these different RC things we do, and our just crazy lifestyle, and doing this aerodrome that we're making our property into, which is really cool. I didn't even know what that was last year. I do now. And so if you don't know, it's a real word. I'm trying to think of other Chinese words.
Now you want one. Boskage.
Boskage. Also boskage. That is a real word. We learned it from Chinese manuals, where they have also warned us to pack a lunch if we get hungry while flying helicopters, but not near people in wheelchairs.
Right.
Or hospitals. That's right. Except you should find an old folks home, and you should figure out, talk to the leadership, and see if you can go fly little airplanes. I'm talking about, you want to make some people happy.
Yep.
That is what you do. You go get your little mini P-47 or your mini P-51. There's one right now that's available. And you go out there and you line up with those people and you make it legal. It's going to be sub 250, and you fly that thing in there, you're going to make some people's day. I'm telling you, this hobby is going to touch so many different people in a positive way. And we just got to remember that, guys. This is an amazing hobby, and we're here for the long haul. And we're going to ride any waves of idiocy that come from the government. but we're still gonna love it. And we're gonna love it with you. So guys, if you wanna help support us, like I said, the easiest way you can do it is buy these planes when you like one that we are promoting or showing or whatever it is, reviewing it. And we'll have links down in the video description below. If for whatever reason Google has decided arbitrarily to attack us like they did earlier this year, by the way, they have backed off largely, which is a miracle. Thank God for that. If they would attack us and you need to, find a link and you can't find it, all you have to do is go to brianphillipsrc.com and you can search by type, you can search by brand or affiliate that we work with, whether it's Horizon or E-flite or FMS or whatever it is. We have both orders for you so you can search and find exactly what you're looking for. And that doesn't just show you links to buy stuff, that shows you links to our videos so that you can watch those videos and glean whatever it is you need to glean, whether it's comparing a T-28 1.2 to a T-28 1.1 or a T-28 2 meter like we did today. Or maybe it's the Conscendo Evo 1.5 compared to the UMX. Or maybe you want to see what the Advanced looked like, which came before the Evo. Or maybe you want to see what the Conscendo S looked like, which was before the Advanced. These are the types of things that we're trying to bring to the table so you can make the best decision possible with limited budgets. Just like everybody in the hobby, virtually everybody in the hobby, okay? So we hope you guys are getting value out of it. And since you keep coming back, we assume you are, and we really appreciate you guys being there. So thanks for another amazing year. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas if we didn't say it already, and whatever other holidays you guys are doing, like Happy Valentine's Day, Happy birthday.
Are we celebrating that now?
Yes, that's right. We're also gonna do the 4th of July.
Great.
What else? Memorial Day.
Warmer.
Thanks to our vets.
Labor Day.
Labor Day. That's right. We just want to make sure we hit all the high notes so we don't want to offend anybody for any reason. Because at the end of the day, guys, we reach a huge audience of people with different beliefs, with different lifestyles, but we all love one thing, and that is flying these amazing aircraft, helicopters, and everybody needs a weed whacker and a leaf blower at some point, right?
Of course.
Unless you live in an association and they take care of it for you. Then you might need a leaf blower just to clean if they missed a spot.
Hey, it works.
So, guys, we love having you here in our lives. We're going to be here for the long haul. Thanks for watching. Come back for more.